All right, it says we are live. Hello, Gun Nation. How's everyone doing this evening? We already kind of were saying hi to everybody, but this evening I've got Chris from the 740. I've got Trigger Bar on, and we are gonna kick it around. They can ask me questions. Y'all can ask them questions. We can all have a good old time. Chris, you're muted. I don't know if you know that or if you mean to.
Yeah.
But and Chris is having a little bit of issues with his throat, so hopefully everybody can hear him and everything. But if he doesn't talk a whole bunch, don't give him grief. He's got some crud going on in his throat. I think we've all been through that. But how are you guys doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, doing great, man. Thanks for the invite. I've been looking forward to this today.
Oh, no problem. I wanted to have you two guys on. I've had both of y'all on separately, but I wanted us to kind of get together and I know a lot of like my followers come over to y'all and y'all's followers come over to me and so we kind of run with the same group of family members out here, so I always think that's a fun time too. We got Clyde on dirt track chessboard, like I said, Pistol Pete and Baldwin Curious. I've said hi to a bunch of people, but we want to like I said, we want y'all to ask us questions, and also I want to ask these guys some questions. I do want to know this from both of y'all. What is, and Chris, you can go first. It doesn't matter, but what is y'all's EDC right now? Like, what do you pretty much, if it's dominantly or if you rotate every other day or whatever, but what are y'all dominantly carrying right now as far as your EDC, as far as pistol wise?
I've switched mine up a little bit now since it's gotten colder and I'm wearing baggier hoodies and stuff. But normally I always carry my 365 XL. But I've actually been carrying my Kiger 9C Pro, my Anderson gun.
Okay.
I really like it. I shoot it well. So I've been carrying it outside the waistband, but just throwing my big hoodie over top of it. And yeah, I've been pretty impressed with that one.
Good deal. What about you, Trigger Bar?
Yeah, I just had some videos on it, but my Kimber Micro 380 is often, that's just carried a lot because I just need like super deep concealment for times that I carry it.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, especially when it's more winter, P01 and then my P365 2 XL.
Okay. Well, this week I'm carrying the CZ P10C. I've actually been carrying it quite a bit. I really enjoy the pistol. So I've been carrying it quite a bit. Not that I'm, upset with the staccato or anything like that. It's just, wanting to rotate it around a little bit. Hell, I carried the staccato for like, a year and a half, like every freaking day. So I was like, yeah, let's mix it up a little bit. So I've been carrying the P10C. And I carried something the other day, and it was kind of fun. Um, well, y'all saw it. I actually this weekend I carried. It was kind of crazy, but I carried the Glock 17L appendix. So I've got a holster for it, and I carried it with the X300, just like you saw it in the video, not with the 33 stick in it, but I was just like, I just want to carry this, see if I can. So I carried it Saturday and Sunday, just for kind of a joke. And yeah, I could carry it. That's the first time I've carried it, that particular gun. But anyway, I was just goofing around. So anyway, but no, that's awesome. Anything that, I know Chris has SHOT Show coming up too. Anything in particular that you're like, I have got to see this, or, and I know there's a bunch of different booths, but anything that you've really written down that is a must go to and talk to as far as maybe new guns coming out or companies, manufacturers?
We talked about this a little bit last night. I think my biggest thing this year, this being my second SHOT Show now, is to go back and kind of, handshakes and hugs with all the companies that I met last year that started really supporting the channel. But as far as guns that are coming out, there's kind of everything's been really tight-lipped with this one.
Yeah.
We've seen some scopes and some dots and stuff that are coming out, but I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of guns they've just kept tight-lipped that they're not going to let anybody see until shot. But
yeah,
there hasn't been anything that has jumped out at me yet.
Yeah. What about you, Trigger Bar? You're not going to SHOT Show, are you? But okay. Anything you're excited or hoping for?
I mean, you and I have talked about it already, but I am excited to see if they do come out with the Rock compact. So the 5.7 by 28 and the compact frame that got leaked or announced. Who was it? Clayco? Was that his channel that announced that?
No, it was that. Starts with an S. It was some kind of Russian guy or something.
Oh, Slav Guns.
Slav Guns.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. And I don't know. I gotta believe, like, so I've been into the 5.7 and the 10 millimeter right lately, and I just gotta believe we're gonna get another 5.7 gun somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get another 10 millimeter gun somewhere. I think Taurus is coming out now with their TH10 or something like that, which is a double stack, double action 10 millimeter. It's not optics cut, but that looks pretty cool. That I think that might even be for sale now, but I just haven't found it yet. But so there's some fun ones coming out in those calibers.
Yeah,
there's going to be 100 9 millimeters come out.
Yeah, so. Yeah. There'll definitely be people putting lipstick on pigs. We all know that. For probably just hey, this got this new pizzazz on it. But I think and I know you and I were talking about it, gosh, a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago. But I was like, I think this SHOT Show is going to be, 5.7 and 10 millimeter. I think more people are going to be announcing 10 millimeter that haven't ever thought about it before. And probably more 5.7s are going to be dropping. I don't know, and I don't know what CZ other than the new P10C or the new P10 line. I was thinking, man, I wonder if they're going to have something, other than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. And if they might not even really talk about it at this one. They might save it for their European SHOT Show because I think that's their big, claim to fame, and they're probably going to have more hit there since they're a Czech company. But I don't know. As far as like guns, I don't see anything that's going to be earth shattering. However, I did talk to a buddy this morning, and he is getting a new gun. He can't tell me about it. He couldn't even kind of give me hints on it, but it's a new manufacturer to pistols. And this one is supposed to be something that's never been done before. So that's about all I know. But he's got, you got to sign that NDA, all that other crap, and that you can't talk about it or can't get to wait till the release date and all that other stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see what the hell that is. I mean, it's going to be a standard caliber. I think it's 9 millimeters, what I'm assuming, because he didn't say that was anything earth shattering, but we'll see what that is. Because this is their first pistol ever, supposedly.
Now PSA's also got that new modular pistol coming out too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. So they've got one where the fire control units move around? Oh,
yep.
Cool.
And it looks like they're going to release like a frame with that you can put in different grip panels too, right? With that.
Oh. Man, I even talked to Locke about that a long, long time ago. Talked to the guys, and I was like, man, that'd be so cool if, maybe y'all could make a grip or something that you could pull the panels off of. And, I think that would be pretty cool if, even like a Glock where you could put palm swells on it or something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. If somebody wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, I'll guarantee you this, though. We'll likely see from SIG a gun that either has a new grip or a new slide serration, and it'll be a whole new thing that they'll have a whole bunch of ads on. And Glock will come out with something that's some new combo of a lower and an upper, but it'll be a different model number that makes no sense.
Yeah, it'll be the Glock 50. The Glock 50. Yeah,
and it's a 48 and a 17 combined or something.
Yeah. It'll be some hermaphrodite looking thing.
Yeah.
But, who knows? Like I said, I don't, and Tradbo, Uncle Dan's bringing it up. I don't know if y'all saw it, but he's saying that, y'all see that new gun that Coley and Noir reviewed. It's like a $450 gun. It's kind of like to me, it kind of looks like a Glock and a, what the hell's that other gun? Kind of looks like a little bit of a Glock and that Springfield Echelon and something else. It kind of looks like a combo of maybe 2 or 3 guns put together. But, there's not anything exciting about a lot of the striker fire guns for me anymore. I'm not saying that, they're bad or anything like that. It's just like, if you've got one or two or three different manufacturers, they kind of, I don't know, unless it's got a totally different grip or, something that's cool. I don't get excited about those anymore. Or like you said, the lipstick on the pig or the new emblems on the gun, or hey, it's a new color or whatever. That doesn't really matter to me, because if I like the gun, I can always Cerakote it or do whatever I want to make it my own. But I don't know. That's as far as the striker fire market. I don't know if anything's going to be revolutionary. Even the P10C or the new P10 line, it might be like, oh, okay, that's cool. But what I was hoping for, and I think Trigger Bar and I and maybe Uncle Dan or somebody, we were talking about it, but I think it would be cool if they made some modular, more modular type guns where you could move them to a compact full size, or even maybe a PCC if that's what you choose, to move that around and be able to do that. That might be kind of cool, but who knows?
Yeah.
Or Steyr, yeah. That's what it kind of looked like, Uncle Dan. It looked like it had a little bit of Steyr in it too. So now, as far as and yes, somebody said it earlier, but we already heard about it. Nick Saban is retiring from Alabama. So, if you're a college football fan, maybe he can go and enjoy his 9 car dealerships that he owns and all the money that he's made. But, good for him. I think he waited too long to retire, but, whatever. So, and I think there's going to be a bunch of mixing up in the NFL and college pretty quickly. So anything else, I don't know if y'all saw or heard about it, but they were trying to push a magazine ban across the House floor for a vote. That's what they're trying to do now. Guns and Gadgets, was talking about it, that they were trying to get this pushed across and get everybody to vote on it and stuff. I mean, I don't know. They've been trying that forever. Hopefully that doesn't happen, or I can't see that it would, but who knows? Like I said, and I've talked to Trigger Bar about and stuff. I think, and like I've always told the family members out there, I think that everybody needs to load up on magazines, not because I think there's a ban coming. It's just usually the first thing to fail on a rifle or a pistol can be potentially a magazine. So load up on some mags, especially for your favorite guns or your go to war or whatever, ED or your, SHTF gun. Make sure you got plenty of mags for that if something were to ever happen. This questions came up quite a bit, and of course I have experience, but y'all probably have a lot more experience with it. Is SIG or is 357 SIG pretty much a done deal, or is it still relevant?
I don't think it's a done deal. I just think it's a niche round. There are a lot of fans out there of it.
Yeah.
If you have I know Glock for sure. If you've got a Glock 22, you can put the drop-in barrel in it and go.
Yeah.
I think you can even do that maybe with a couple other ones. I don't know if you can do it with maybe an M&P or I think you can do it with a 320 too, right?
Yeah, the right 320. It has to be a 45 it has to be a 40.
Right.
Built on the 40, but
I've honestly thought about going and getting that barrel, just especially since I'm a reloader, I could get the brass and reload it myself. Because I do have a Glock 22 and I have the 40 to 9mm conversion barrel for it. So I think it would just be something fun to have.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going anywhere. But I don't think it's going to be a popular. I don't think but you never know. I mean, there could be a resurgence on it, a year or two down the road. Everybody jumps on a 357 SIG bandwagon. And the 226 is the other one.
Like the 10mm. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I had something in my throat. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And, and the last time 357 SIG resurged was that White Church or White Settlement church shooting, when the security guard took out the bad guy with one shot from 357 SIG. Now, shot placement, right? Yep. He got a headshot. So heck, my 380 might have taken him out with a precise shot like that, right? So but I love 357 SIG. I think it's a fun gun to shoot. I have a 229. I've got a drop-in barrel for my 96A1 Beretta 96A1. I tell you what, with the right round, like I was so shocked. I have this Minuteman munitions. I got turned on to that by Yankee Marshall. I've since blocked him. At any rate, but the EFK Fire Dragon sells a drop-in barrel for the Beretta, or at least every now and then they do.
Yeah.
96A1. And I got like out of this, what I got turned on by that and the ammo from Minuteman Munitions. And out of their 357 SIG rounds, I was getting over 700 energy foot-pounds.
Wow.
Like that's like spicy 10 millimeter range.
I can say that's getting it
with 357 SIG. That's like no joke, right?
Yeah.
So, 357 SIG can be it's a great round. It has, probably different kinds of uses. I know Big J, you and Turkey's Opinion got in some fun debates over capacity versus energy foot pounds and things like that. But, there are different times. Like there are times when I'm worried for different things.
Yep.
Right. When I'm in out west and I'm in the back country, I'm worried about big things attacking me, or a couple of rogue people trying to rob me in the back country. Right. And having something that puts things down with fewer shots is a good thing. And, I think the Turkey's Opinion, he lives pretty rural. Yep. Right. Versus you're in that a truck stops, in cities and all. You want capacity.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's kind of like saying it's 44 mag, obsolete. I don't think it's obsolete. Right. Yeah. But, it's always going to have a place. I think 357 SIG, like Chris said, it's always going to have a place.
Yeah. And I love 357 SIG. I don't think there's a damn thing wrong with it. And, on some, you can have pretty decent capacity. And like I said, I've never, hated on 10 millimeter. There's definitely a place for it. I look at quick follow-up shots, target placement, I'm talking, if you had multiple and where I travel, such as today, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma this week. And, there was like, I'm coming out of the shop and how like panhandlers walk down the road, there might be one or two of them together. There was like 12 of them. I'm not even joking. So I'm walking out to my vehicle and there's like a mob of them just walking, and then they just kind of stop and they're all staring at me. Now they might have had some mental issues or whatever, I don't know, but they just all stop and they're just like literally probably 10 feet from me and they're just staring at me. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? We have a meeting or what are we doing here? And then I just opened up the door and kind of stared back at them. And, I was like, what the hell do y'all want? And then they just kind of turned around and went the opposite way, that they back towards they came. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell they were doing. And maybe they thought, hey, we'll go ask this guy for money. I don't know, but there's just weird situations. So I definitely like, stopping power, but I'm also like, if I've got plenty of capacity on deck, if I need it for groups or whatever, that's kind of where I lean more towards. But yeah, if I was just, out in the back country or something like that, I'd still want capacity. But yeah, it could be a whole different caliber that I would be dealing with then if I knew some big animals were coming after me, or could potentially. And yeah, this has been happening, and you guys know this too. There's a question. You see Grand Thumb, on 10 millimeter, he said all factory ammo is low powered. Good defense loads are full power. Y'all know that. That's not new to y'all.
I have a whole series on I call it Spicy or Lame. That's just on 10 millimeter range ammo. And at the end of them, if you think my videos are boring, which I sometimes myself think they're boring, at the very end of them, I always have a chart which kind of shows up like all the stuff I've tested to date. So just skip to the end and I just show power because I do lab radar tests with them. And it's a lot of it's pretty pathetic. And like I tested some PPU defense line jacketed hollow points and it was getting like 950 feet per second. Like that's like 180 grain, 950 feet per second. That's as bad as 40 Smith & Wesson or worse. There's 40 Smith & Wesson loads that are well over 1,000 feet per second.
Yeah, and I've shot 10 millimeter before, many times I've owned them in the past, but when I shoot them, or when I shot some of that stuff, I'm like, I think my 40 has more power. I mean, I was like, what the hell's going on with this? Now I've shot buffalo boar and some other stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, that's legit. So.
Yeah, the factory 10 millimeter, I've not been impressed with hardly anything that I've shot. Now your defense rounds, like we were talking, Underwood, Double Tap, I think actually has some pretty good 10 millimeter rounds. The one, what Pete out there saying SIG. But yeah, I mean, you kind of even have to go past the book on reloading it. I mean, if you want to get it to where it is, a lot of the reloading data even is kind of anemic.
Yeah.
In the books, I tend to take all my 10 millimeter range ammo, my practice rounds, I tend to take them all over, what their max load is.
Yeah.
So.
See, I've run into that with 45 as well. They'll have some, like I call them unleaded or whatever, they'll have some, or, non-super premium, 45 rounds. And I'm just like, it shows 230. I'm like, man, this shit's weak. And then I've shot some spicy 230s as well. And then I've got some hot, I think it's 185 grain, 45 ACP, and it's pretty legit. Now I've got some 185 lower, some weak, but then I've got some that's spiced up too. But I still enjoy a 45. I know a lot of people are like, screw 45. Kind of like what some people think about, what we were talking about earlier. 357. Some people are like, 45's dead. It ain't going nowhere. 45 is still not going anywhere, I don't think.
The thing that's different, like if you compare 45 though and 357 SIG, well, 45 was a lot bigger than 357 SIG ever dreamed of being, but they're still gonna always be making guns in 45 ACP.
Yeah.
If nothing else, people want a 1911 and 45 ACP.
In God's caliber.
Yep. But that's not necessarily true for 357 SIG. And if it was, I would argue the pistol is exactly what I think it was Pistol Pete, what he said. It's the 229, 226.
Yep.
But they don't make those anymore. They don't even make the 40 so that you can do a drop-in barrel. So you're left with buying the used market. So if there was an argument that 357 SIG was going to die, it's because it doesn't have an iconic gun still made for it. Right. Like if you said, like I made that earlier, I'm arguing against myself, but I made the argument about 44 mag. You want a model 29 Smith & Wesson and 44 mag, or a model 629, or a Ruger Red Hawk, right? I mean, you want one of these guns in 44 mag, right? But what's the gun in 357 SIG? And unfortunately, SIG dropped the ball. Like, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah. Well, I know all of y'all are going to be super excited about SHOT Show for the 38 Super Carry, or excuse me, 38 Super Carry, right?
Is it 38 Super? You mean 30 Super Carry?
30 Super Carry. I'm sorry, 30 Super Carry. I was getting mixed up with the 38 Super.
I was at a Sportsman's last week. I was out visiting my son in a different part of the country, and I was shocked at how little ammo they actually had. It was a giant Sportsman's. I don't know if they're just running low around the holidays or what's happening, but I'll be damned. They had boatloads of 30 Super Carry on the shelf.
Oh, that shit is laying on the shelves with 2 inches of dirt on it. I mean, dust on it. It has just literally got cobwebs growing on that shit. Even at Texas Gun Experience, they used to have like 3 Super Carry, or the 30 Super Carries, the M&Ps that was just laying there. They couldn't even give them away. They were trying to sell them for like $3.99, and then you got a box of free. That didn't work, and then you would get a couple of boxes of free ammo. That didn't work. So who knows? They finally got rid of them, but I'm like, what poor son of a bitches bought those guns?
I know it's been said, but I'm just going to make my point again. Like on the 30 Super Carry, like It doesn't do anything, right? It's a higher pressured round than 9mm.
But
So
it's
what that
iconic.
means,
It's
what-
iconic.
yeah, no, it's not.
You know, I'm talking about with one particular group. It's super iconic. If you know where I'm going with this, they usually had like Mother Teresa grips on them and stuff.
The 30 Super Carry.
No. I'm sorry. The 38. Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
38 is 38 Super. Sure.
Yeah.
Right. That's also iconic.
No, not 30 super carry.
Yeah.
No.
But 30 Super Carry is higher pressure than 9mm. So, but produces about the same energy foot pounds as 9mm.
Yep.
So you can't have a smaller gun,
No.
right? So, everyone thought, oh, it's right in between 9mm and 38 Special. Beauty of a 38 Special 380 ACP, you can get a very small gun because the pressures are so low. You can't do that with 30 Super Carry. So you're left with the same gun as what you would get with 9mm with one extra round, maybe.
Or maybe two.
Maybe
That's
two.
It. And that was their big pitch is, oh, you can carry extra capacity. I'm like, what the shit?
Speaking of capacity, I had a company reach out to me today on Instagram, and they were called Mag Guts. Have you guys heard of that company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They make pretty good. They make pretty good products.
Yeah, so they were like, we've been watching your videos and we would like to send you out. So I was looking through their list and they made the spring kits for all the whole 365 line. So I said, well, why don't you guys send me the spring kit for the 12 round mags? Because that's supposed to bump you up to 14. And then your 15 round mags, it bumps you up to 17. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Hopefully they're reliable. They're going to send me some stuff to test out. And I really like that concept.
I use them.
Do you? Okay.
In my 365, they've been very good. Yep. Okay. I've had no reliability issues.
I mean, if you look at them and see, I've got similar stuff like for my CZ Shadow 2 mags. And what they're doing is they're making a smaller follower. So it's like a shaved follower and a different spring. So you can usually get one or two more rounds in the gun. Like on my extended Shadow 2 mags, I think I can get like 23 or 24 mags with the Dawson plates and stuff, the extensions. And they call it an extended follower or whatever, extended rounds, but it's a shaved type follower. And then I think they have don't they have a metal follower? It's like a little flat, kind of like the old 1911 follower trigger bar.
Yeah. I don't think it's, I mean, looked like the same shape to me.
Okay. Because they used to have one when they first came out for the Shield. It was kind of like a little thin metal one. And it kind of reminded me of the anti-tilt 1911 ones.
The way that I saw they got it was in the spring. They had a more clever like crimp or style of the spring, so it could compact smaller.
Yeah.
But still maintains its elasticity. So
yeah, because I had them for my M&P Shield 1.0, and they worked. I mean, so they do work. They work a lot better than those freaking hives that I tested for like 1,000 rounds, and then they all freaking exploded.
Oof.
Oh yeah, I won't ever. Man, I wasted so much freaking ammo on those things. They worked great for a while, and then they just all shit the bed. Yeah. So, because I still had that video up, people were like, "Oh, you still like these?" And I'm like, "Hell no, don't run that shit. They're garbage." Matter of fact, I even went on that video, and I think I put it in the comment, like, "I do not recommend these anymore." Or pinned it in the comment, but yeah, and that's what I was talking about. Pranic when I was getting 38 Super mixed up because 38 Super is super iconic, of course, for competition shooting, but then also with the cartels back in the day. Man, they had everything was freaking 38 Super Carry way back in the day with those 1911s. They'd pimp them out and gold them out and put the Mother Teresa grips on them and all that stuff. Those were very iconic back in the day. Matter of fact, I think if you made like Cartel Boss or one of the higher ups, you would get one of these particular group cartel guns. And I've seen some of those pictures from back in the day, and they were pretty damn impressive. And I've always liked 38 Super Carry. I've never owned one, but I've shot other people's, and I think they're kind of cool.
I have the video done, and I won't reveal which gun it's on, but I just did a test with some 38 Super, and actually I was a little surprised at how slow it was going relative to some plus. Not it was just it's 9mm plus P.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I expected more. I thought it was just going to be a little more because it's a longer case.
Yeah.
And so I just expected more out of it. Maybe mine was weak stuff, but it was Underwood. So
Yeah. And Tradbo, Uncle Dan's exactly right. It's Virgin Mary. And I'm sitting here saying Mother Teresa. I meant Virgin Mary. Man, you can tell Mother, I'm sitting here. Mother Teresa's, the lifesaver. I mean, here we go. And they also had, they did have the Virgin Mary on them, but they also had that protector of death, from death or whatever, or I can't remember that skeleton thing that they do, the cartels do, but they had those on there too on some of them. But yeah, I guess Brian's saying, check the springs on those mag, like here it is right here. If you want to check springs, load a few mags full and then let them sit for a couple, enough time to see if the spring.
that'd be a good test, Chris. Take one of them and load it up for a month and see how it does after.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that have ran them, like even in my 1.0, I think I've got a couple of mags with them still in it. And I mean, hell, I've had that shit. I got that gun like when it was announced. I pre-ordered it. Now it is the 1.0, but I shot a ton of rounds through those and never had an issue with them. So, and I kept them loaded forever. So I don't know. But now as far as, I'm going to put you all on the spot. As far as a favorite rifle or PDW or, pistol, what is your favorite as far as caliber wise?
I'm gonna go AR platform, and I would have used to say 223, but I've become such a huge fan of 300 Blackout.
All right.
Yeah, how about I just say 30 cal?
Yeah.
Okay.
300 Blackout and 308.
Yeah. I mean, those are my favorite too. 300 Blackout and 308. I mean, not saying anything's wrong with whoever chooses to run whatever they want. I say as long as you're running a rifle, run it and have fun with it. Now,
Hey, Big
go
Jay,
ahead.
I know this is your chat, but Guns and Gadgets, Jared also came out with that, all the district attorneys pressuring the Biden administration, which I think is just a ruse, by the way, but to change the contract on Lake City so that they can't sell overruns. They submitted a letter to, the officer of violating our Second Amendments or whatever it's called, gun control or gun violence prevention office or whatever it's called. And they all signed a letter. All these states that have Dem leaders in signed a letter saying, hey, you need to stop allowing Lake City from selling overruns. That I have, like, that would require no laws to change, right? That's just next time the contract is up, write a different contract.
That's what I was going to say. But then see, also you have the fair trade agreements too. Now I know that they service, the particular military and all that other stuff, but to tell a company that's not owned by the government what to do and how to do it, there's all kinds of laws against that shit too. So now,
sure, but it's government. It's a government-owned facility.
I know. That's what
So
I was just.
Per the contract, they're allowed to sell their overruns, which incentivizes them to produce more than what the government wants.
Yeah.
Right. And so because they can make a profit on it, that's where they make their profit, is all on the commercial sales.
But
and it keeps ammo companies healthy. Right.
Yeah.
So it's win-win for the government.
Yeah, but if that ever happened, put it this way, if that ever happened, other ammo companies could jump in, and there could be a slowdown for a little bit, but I think,
Agreed.
I think the backlash from that would not be good for Lake Cities, and I think other companies would step up and be like,
Doesn't
hey, you know what?
Winchester have it right now?
With what the contract?
Yeah.
I think they do. Yeah.
I think so too. And by the way, Winchester isn't the cheapest round right now.
No.
The overruns from them aren't the cheapest rounds, right?
And I
PMC
honestly-
bronze is cheaper than them, and AAC is cheaper than them. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I have Winchester, I own a bunch of it, but I am not the biggest fan of Winchester. You know, I mean, the white box, the NATO's not too bad, but just the standard stuff, I'm not a huge fan of it. I've had a lot of issues with that shit in the past, you know, and I mean, we all know the nicknames, you know, Winchester white trash, Winchester, you know, I mean, yeah. But I've had probably, out of all the ammo manufacturers, I've probably had the most issues with Winchester.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know, you guys reload, I don't, but I'm talking about just straight out of the box factory crap.
what it might mean is, you know, those ammo companies, they just make more money off the government because they'd say, well, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We can make more money in the private sector.
Yeah.
And then the government will say, okay, well, we'll pay you extra.
Yeah.
And so somehow they'll still make more money than what they're making today, no matter what.
Yeah, but I think that's where like AAC and other places would just bump it up, and I mean, it would be a downfall for a little while or a pause, but I think other people would ramp up. Or, I mean, if they're smart about it, Lake Cities could branch off in a different LLC, and you know, freaking clean house. I mean, they could, not in the same building, of course, but I'm saying they could ramp up and.
Well, I mean, they like what happens is every, I don't know, 7 years, right? They put it out to contract and actually rotate. Typically, it used to be Remington, Winchester, I don't know, what another brand would take turns getting the contract, Federal. Now they're kind of consolidated, so I don't know what's going to happen with that, right? But it's not their equipment, right? It's not their place. They just go in and operate it, and they get paid to operate it on behalf of the government, you know, and the government did that because they don't want a company going out of business, you know, and then they lose our ammunition manufacturing for our overseas fights. But yeah.
Well, it's just like, you know, this automotive thing, because I told everybody this was what was going to happen. But with this automotive strike, you know, when they went on strike and we're doing all this silly shit, wanting all this more money and stuff like that. Well, they got what they wanted or close to what they wanted. And then right after they said, oh, yeah, we're all done. It's all set. Everybody's, hey, we're making all this money. And then they lay off, you know, Ford laid off like 2,000 people recently. GM's laid off like 2,000 people. So it's like you got what you wanted, but the money, you know, they got to cut the cord somewhere. And I knew that was going to happen. So, but now as far as your favorite grain, I know y'all both said 30 caliber or 300 blackout, but what is y'all's favorite grain of 300 blackout if you had to pick one?
For me, it would be the 110, just because I don't shoot I don't have suppressors, so
okay.
I try to get the speed out of it, but I would definitely like to get a suppressor for my 300 blackouts, especially now that I have a couple of them.
Yeah. What about you, Kurt?
Yeah. So I mean, I do have a can, so I like shooting suppressed, and it's often 200 or 220. I think what I want, especially because I have a 10.5 inch, I think I'm trying to look for some like 195s or 190s, because my 10.5 inch with 220 grains gets around 800 feet per second.
Yeah.
Because it's just a shorter barrel, so I need something going just a little bit faster, because you know you want to be right around 1,000, you know, with whatever you're shooting, because and I have hand loaded. So you can get it up there, but you start running out of case capacity with the 220 because they're so long, and starts to get really compressed. So, yeah.
My favorite is 110 or 124. I don't mind 124. I hate what is it, 150? I hate that shit. It's garbage. And then, you know, 200 to 220. I really do like that. Now I do have 12.5s as well, so you know you get more velocity and stuff. So, but yeah, I'd say 110 124, and then 200 to 220. Those are my two favorite, or kind of the setup I like out of the 300 blackout. 308. I really like. I mean, if y'all have 308s, well, y'all both have 308s. As far as the 308 rifle, do y'all prefer 168? What is your preferred on your 308s?
My two favorite bullets are the 165 grain SST from Hornady, and then the 168 grain boat tail hollow point from Sierra, the Match King.
Yeah, that's my favorite, is the Match King 168.
So I had I took my bolt action elk hunting 2 years in a row. Got 2 elk, and on one of them I recovered my bullet. It was the TTSX 165 grain, and people will say, "Hey, that's the 30-06 round," but I reloaded it, or was loading it, and this 165 grain shot better. I got a lot more better accuracy out of it in my gun than the 168 grain did, but it did not open up worth crap. Now I got the elk at about 300 yards, so by that point the velocity had gone down to close to 2100, 2050 feet per second at that range, and so it just was a little bit of a lesson to me on again range, 308, and what you're expecting to get out of expansion. So doing it again, I've been really looking at some Hammer Hunter. They're actually Power Hunter, or Power Hammer bullets is what they're called. They're 151 grain. And then they also have some 130 grain bullets that are solid copper and expand quite a bit better. And you can get those going just a little bit higher. I'm not comfortable taking a shot on an animal past 400 yards. That's just where my accuracy starts to tail off. That I don't want to hit something in the leg and have it have a broken leg and me not find it, or something like that. But so I want something going fast enough out to those velocities, and that's where I've started exploring the lighter and lighter grain weight bullets.
I've got some of these bullets, and you guys are reloaders, so y'all would know. I've got, and I didn't even know they made these, and they're supposed to be for law enforcement only, but I was able to grab them. But they're called TAP, and I've ran TAP in 300 blackout and other stuff, but they have TAP, and it's 308, but it's 110 grain 308. I'm almost positive it's 110. I'm almost positive, but I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I had never heard of it. Now, and I'm not going to go shoot it at the range at Paper, but I haven't even shot it yet. And I bought, I don't know how many boxes, but I'm like, that's probably going to be pretty wicked, but who knows? It might just rip right through something too.
Yeah. Alaskan Ballistics has a couple videos on his 110 grain coming out of a 308. It's pretty wicked. The damage it does. What concerns me about that is stabilization, because it's a 1 in 10 twist.
Yep.
1 to 10 twist barrel. And so I just would want to do some. I have some with the full intent to reload, but I've got a lot of stuff I fully intend to do.
Yeah. And most of your 308s are 110 twist. So or 1 in 10 twist. So that's why I was like, I don't know. I'm not a reloader, but I'm like, okay, 1 in 10, that's pretty damn light. So I don't know. I was like, is it going to freaking rip the jacket off? What's it going to do? I don't know.
You watch that video, Alaskan Ballistics on it. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then as far as, and I don't know, I wanted to ask this question. It's kind of dumb, but I just really noticed it like this week while I've been in Tulsa. But I want to see if this is a thing, like in y'all's area. Are y'all seeing like younger kids to like in your 20s? Maybe some of these kids look like they're 20. I say kids, but some of these men and women look like they're 25, but they're all wearing pajama bottoms. Have y'all been seeing this? Is this a new fad or something that something's happening? I don't know about it. I saw 2-3 people today wearing freaking pajama bottoms and just walking around like no big deal. And I'm like, what in the hell's going on with this?
No, that's it's definitely going on around here too. We were in Menards 2 weeks ago. I was in there getting some parts for work, and there was a couple in there. They actually had their pajamas on and their slippers in there shopping.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And these
Yeah,
guys,
they just got right out of bed and said, "Let's go to Menards," I guess.
yeah, like two of these kids today were all, had their hair all done, all fixed up. One of them had makeup on and all this other stuff, and they're just wearing freaking pajamas and a coat and house shoes. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on with people now? So I'm like, is this some kind of fashion statement? Because it's been happening all week since I've been in Tulsa, and maybe it's happening in my area and I just haven't noticed it. But I'm like, what's up with the damn pajama bottoms? Or,
So, oddly enough, right before the chat, I had to go. My wife's not feeling well, so I had to go unexpectedly go pick up my daughter from play practice. I still have a younger child at home. She's a teenager. And what did she wear out to play practice? Pajama bottoms.
Okay, so it must be some TikTok craze, or I guess people are seeing it all over the social media or something. But I don't do, other than YouTube, I don't even do any social media anymore. I don't have Facebook or Instagram or any of that shit. So I'm just like, what in the hell, man? Because I'm thinking, damn, all these people meeting up somewhere and wearing pajamas. I'm like, what is this, pajama party? So, I don't know. Because when I'm at home, yeah, I'll wear, I don't even know what they're called, joggers or, like just comfortable pants and stuff like that. But that's when I'm at home, like right now, I'm not even wearing pants. No, I'm joking. But now, as far as, and this is another question that I get asked all the time, so I figured I'd ask y'all. Every time you carry your EDC, do you always carry a backup mag?
I do. Yeah, I always have a second mag.
Okay. What about you, Trigger Bro?
I don't. With my 380, I do.
Yeah, well.
I'm worried.
Yeah.
It only has like 6 rounds in the one mag, I'm worried about that. But I'll admit there are often times, especially like I'm just going for a walk in my neighborhood, right? I'll just put the one on, or just the gun with 15, 17 round mag, something like that. I'm just like, I'm just in my neighborhood. My neighborhood's not near any stores or any retail or anything like that, and I'm just not expecting a major confrontation, but I'm always trying to be compliant because you never know what's going to happen.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean, there are times where, I always have a backup in the vehicle, to where I could just go get it. Or, not during a situation, but you know what I'm saying? If I'm like, this is a pretty shady place, I'll snap it in my pocket or whatever. Because it's in a little carrier. And it looks like a pocket knife when you stick it in your pocket. But I'll do that. But there's a lot of times where I just carry the gun on me. I don't have a backup mag, like on my person. I just kind of assess it. Anything can happen. I shouldn't say assess, because that makes an ass out of you and me, but you know what I mean? So I just kind of look at the situation. Sometimes I do, depending on where I'm going, and sometimes I don't. So, and then this was brought up. I talked to a buddy this morning, and, he was doing I guess he pulled up some diagrams of grocery stores and like Walmarts and things like that. And he was going from like the front door of a Walmart all the way to like the back wall. And he was just kind of doing some diagrams. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing that for? He goes, well, I've got something coming up. And, I was thinking about something, and I was like, okay. But, if you think about it, like an aisle at a Walmart, you're looking at sometimes 25 to 30 yards. And this is kind of what we were talking about. And he did this breakdown. Do you think at 25 yards or 30 yards, do you think you would have any problem, taking care of a target at 25 to 30 yards?
For me, it's going to depend on the gun. That and that's, honestly, the 365 XL, you're kind of pushing it at that distance. So, anytime I do a red dot review in the video, that's one of the very last things I do at the end is I set a target up 25 yards down range. And obviously you want to try to keep all those shots, at least in the A zone or the C zone of that target. And there are, but especially if you're under stress, which you're going to be in that situation, but it's definitely something you want to practice, because 25 yards doesn't sound like a long ways to people, but go out there and shoot 25 yards with a handgun. It takes a little more practice than a 10-yard target or a 7-yard. So, yeah. And then you add the stress, the adrenaline, the shaking onto that.
And maybe that person moving, moving around and not just running around. You know what I mean? Not just standing there.
Or they're bystanders nearby.
Yep.
That goes out for me.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. I was actually like, for one, when we were kind of chatting about this, I was like, I think the gun plays a big part. Now granted, you're in that situation, but if I was in that situation and had a full-size gun, would I feel better? Or even a bigger compact gun, would I feel better? Yes. If I had some little freaking tiny mouse gun, I mean, for me, I wouldn't feel that great about it.
Yeah, there's no way I'm taking a shot like that with my micro.
Yeah.
380.
Yeah, it's like, if I got my PDP Pro and I'm shooting at 25 yards, I'm going to shoot a lot better groups with that gun than I am going to shoot with my 365 XL. Or, if I take my TAC Ultra out there, where I got an all steel gun. But yeah, so that's the thing. These people and there's a lot of people carrying these micro guns, and 25 yards is, you definitely got to shoot and practice with it.
And that's, kind of like when I've talked about in the past doing that draw where I, put it in there, even a small gun, and just kind of grab it quick, and I miss it like multiple times because the damn grip's too small. That's just things I think about, and, when I'm driving down the road chatting with buddies or whatever, I'm just like, would I feel great about that situation? No. I mean, I wouldn't feel great about that situation no matter what. But if you got to do something, could you do it? Like, everybody was talking about the Dickens drill and all that stuff, a while back when all that stuff happened. It's like, would you feel comfortable with a small gun being able to do that? I wouldn't. I'm not saying I probably couldn't get some shots off and have hits, but I think I would have a lot better time with a bigger compact or a full-size gun.
I'll be honest, like the times I carry my micro 380 are the times when I don't think I could carry a gun.
Yeah.
Or carry another gun. Like I just the risk of exposure is too great. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Y'all's imagination can go wild on why the risk of exposure of carrying a gun would be a bad thing. But that's the only time. Other than that, I'm trying to carry as big a gun as I can conceal, and with coats and hoodies and all that, you can conceal a pretty big gun, with no one paying attention to anything.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, I think you need to be ready for it and you should be practicing at it. But, there are times when I'm just like, you know what, with this little micro gun, this is to get just me, myself out of something fast.
Yeah.
And I even, think, let's say there was an active shooter, right. In some place, that again, wouldn't normally have a gun, but can I be, some quote unquote hidden until, and then now I want something that's better than a stick.
Yeah.
Right. That I can, but I'm not going to be out there public defending. I'm going to turn into Rambo all of a sudden. I'm not going to be Dickens with a micro 380. Right. But if someone's right on me, I'll try. Right. And I'd rather have that than my fist.
Yeah. And this is just to start just a discussion that I was having with someone else, and I thought it would be good to bring it up because, these are some things that, maybe we're all driving down the road or we're talking to a buddy and we're like, hey, what if this ever happened? Well, when he started giving me all these like true diagrams, like he actually took a picture of real stores and then he put it this way, he kind of does this by trade, but and he was, he's got like these diagrams where he can put a point and draw it out. And he's like, hey, that's 50 yards or whatever. He's got the computer or whatever that does all that to measure it. And so I was just like, it looks far. I just didn't realize some of these were that far, like to the front of a store, to the back of a store. And granted, if you're at the front door and some shit's popping off, I'm not going to be running back into the store and go, hey, let's take on all these people or whatever's happening. But you want to try to get to an exit and get the hell out of there if you can. But if something pops off right near you, you want to be able to protect yourself and others and your family. But I didn't sign up to be Rambo, but so yeah, just things like that, I've thought about. And when he was giving me the actual data today, the true yardage, I was like, wow, yeah. And I, thinking about it, I'm like, that is a far ass way, not 25 or 30 yards. I'm talking about even farther. If something were to go down and you're at the far back of the store and something's popping off at the front of the store, it's like, shit, you're just back there, maybe you can't get out. So,
I think all of us, we all kind of think through those scenarios as we're walking. Those of us in this community, like, what would I do? Yep. And at least in my mind, especially when I've been carrying only my Micro 380, the thought in my mind is, well, I'm going to go hide at the back of the store with the rest of the people. If I can't get out, then that's what that 380 is for. If he decides to come back and he's going to try and finish everyone off at the back of the store, then he's going to come around a corner and he's going to meet something.
Yeah.
And that's my scenario. But if it's if you have a different gun, you have a different scenario, maybe.
Yeah. And, my buddies and stuff, and even my wife sometimes, like, you're kind of, you take some of this stuff too far. But like when I go into a restaurant, because I travel, on the road all the time. So when I go into a restaurant, I'm kind of looking like, okay, which way's the door? I don't want to have my back towards the door. I kind of, like, she'll say, oh, we're going to sit you right here. And I'm like, no, you're going to set me over there. I'm sure we all do this. Maybe a lot of people out in the chat do too. You're just kind of like, what if in your head? So, and sometimes my wife's like, this seat's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not, so, but if it's packed, sometimes that's where you're going to sit, but at least I can try to face the door if at all possible. But
I saw a recent, short by someone that just came up in my feed. Not sure how, but it was like one of these men versus women, and they were at dinner, and this, girl was like, what the freak is he thinking about? He hadn't talked to me for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
That guy is a jerk. He isn't listening to me. He's not talking to me. And then, of course, then they pan to the guy and his thoughts, and he's like eating a sandwich, and he's like, I could probably take a bear. I don't think I could take a grizzly bear, but I could take a black bear. I'd probably put it in a chokehold like this. That might work. Or I wonder how else I could take that black bear. That's his thoughts versus her thoughts.
Yeah. And I've seen the ones too. You bring up a funny point. I've seen those ones where it's like, the little movie scenarios, and it's like, oh, he's, the woman's like, he's out cheating on me. He's just saying he's with his friends. He's not with his friends. And then it shows the guy with his buddies, and they're like, putting crap on their heads, and they're trying to choke each other out with like plastic bags and just doing goofy guy crap. And, I'm like, yep, that was me, so yeah. Or, like, can you, do you think you could throw this golf ball and, knock that off a tree, or, just dumb crap. It's like, yep, that's what we're really doing. We're not out causing trouble. One thing I have that, and I'm going to save it for a video, but I've got something coming up that I've been thinking about for a really, really long time. And it's kind of like a secret squirrel setup. And, I'll tell you guys about it later, but it's kind of something I'm putting together where it doesn't look like what it is. So if I were to even have it out in public, I don't think people would even know what the hell it is, but it's going to have some fun things in it. So, because sometimes there might be a time and a place for that. And also, as much as I travel, it totally does not even look like what would be in it. But I didn't know if y'all had ever, and Chris, I think Trigger Bar, but I don't know if Chris does, but have y'all ever thought about having a little extra something? Now, I'm not talking about a big old rifle and all this other stuff. We've all done that. But have you ever thought like, backup, gun or anything like that? Have y'all ever thought about any of that kind of stuff too?
Like you're talking a micro backup or a bag gun?
Whatever. Yeah. No, it would be like, a micro, something smaller, maybe, in a bag, maybe in a backpack, something, if you had to kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to find a way to say this for one so I don't get I'm already blacklisted by YouTube, but you know what I mean. My little word I came up with is secret squirrel shit. You know, so yeah, I guess you could say a backup gun. Have y'all ever thought about having a backup gun with you?
I definitely have carried it. My Micro 380 as a backup gun, and then had a
Yeah.
bigger pistol.
But you, Chris?
No, I don't think I've ever had like two on me at the same time. I mean, now in a hunting scenario, it's different. I would have a sidearm on me and
Yeah.
with my rifle. But no, normally I haven't. Now I have carried one of my AR pistols in my truck. I've got a lockable compartment that I keep one in with a couple extra 30-round mags. But I've never actually like carried anything like a micro gun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it wasn't a Biden moment. I was trying to think of how to say it, and there's really no way to say it, what I was trying to come across. But y'all get it in the video whenever I put it out. I hadn't even filmed it or anything. I just now got my final piece of it that I was needing of the way that I want it. So that was kind of what brought that up too. Or actually, I got some more of the pieces, but I had gotten the other piece before I went out of town, and then I bumped into some more pieces. So I got those too. I even went back and got more today.
Hey, Big J, on that topic, like I know for a while when I lived in New Mexico, you weren't allowed to have two guns on you. Now I know
Really?
what allowed to and what you do, whatever.
Wow.
Right, but I'm just telling you what the laws are. You're only allowed to carry one gun on you, whether it was open or if you had a license concealed.
Now that's in New Mexico?
That's in New Mexico. And there are other states. I don't know them off the top of my head, but New Mexico isn't the only one, but there are other states where that's true too.
Well, I've been there many times, and I guess I wasn't, I might have been breaking the law.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I'm just kind of thinking outside of the box, but back when I used to have all my boots made, I think I've said this before, I had a pocket that was sewn in the side, like in the shaft of the boot, where I could put one of my old 380s in there. But then the more and more I started, and it was always in there, I had one on me and one in the boot. But as I started thinking about it more and more and more, I'm like, reaching down, pulling your pants leg up, getting it out. I'm like, it's just kind of not feasible. I mean, as a last ditch effort, like in a scenario where you're like, hey, I ran out of ammo. Yeah, okay, but you can have a backup mag too. So, but yeah, after that, I was like, I'm not going to have that pocket put in those boots anymore. It didn't even cost me extra. He would just do it for me. But I'm like, this, it was cool, I guess, looking, but I'm like, how feasible is that to reach down and yank your pants leg up? The more and more I thought about it. So, and honestly, I never, I'd practice sometimes just like, okay, bend over and rip it up real quick and grab it out of there. But I'm like, okay, I'm dead,
Yeah. I'm all about like controlling of my gun. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm just like too cautious of it, but
Yeah.
I'm all like, and that's why, and I know like people are going to freak out because people are going to say, you're going to blow your nuts off, Trigger Bar. But like, that's why I'm also an appendix carry person, is feel like I have better like control, instead of like it may fall out or like part of my clothing comes up and I don't see it. Right.
Okay.
And again, I'm not paranoid about just, being out on the town and someone seeing it, but like, I just don't want to lose control of it on some accident.
Yeah.
Heck, I was at a walk with my family right after Christmas. We were just at a park, and it was one of those parks that had exercise things.
Mhm.
And they had a pull-up bar, and everybody wants to see Grandpa see if he can do a pull-up. So I go up to do a pull-up, and guess what shows up?
Ta-da!
They're like, Grandpa's backing.
Yeah.
And none of them knew it, but until that happened. But I was like, crap, right? But it feels like that kind of thing would happen a lot more if it's like on my side than it is on appendix. And I feel like on like down at my ankles, that could happen too a lot. Like somehow my pant gets pulled up or something. All of a sudden, I don't even see it and it's exposed, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I don't know. That's where I'm kind of conscious about that.
Well, that isn't where the boot hit it. Shafts on cowboy boots, they're, they go way the
Yeah.
hell up. So
Yeah, you're
and I don't
fine.
wear high water. I don't
Yeah.
wear high water, so I don't really have to worry about that. But, I agree with you on that. And I've said that many times. If you got an appendix, I just feel it's like, it's in your little
My
workspace.
business.
You don't reach around. And also when I carried it at the 3 o'clock and the 4 o'clock, I'd turn around, bang it into a car door. You're walking through a grocery store, small aisles, people's heads, elbows bang into it. Yeah, I know. Uncle Dan's told me that too. You ought to prison carry. I'm like, no, we won't do that. But, I feel like it's just more, I don't know if it's closer to me. It's, and also when I grab it, it's just literally right there. I'm not reaching around. And I'll tell you where it really shines is when you're in a vehicle. So you get in a vehicle, you got your seatbelt on. And, trying to reach back to the 4 o'clock in your vehicle with a seatbelt on for carjacking or whatever could happen, that's damn near impossible. You can do it, but it's damn near impossible. 3 o'clock, that's right where your seatbelt buckle is. So, but what I find is I'll put it on, I actually lift the shirt up, tuck the seatbelt behind my holster. And it's just literally right there to the front windshield or to the side window. So I just have much more control of it in a car as well. And yeah, you can drive through some shady areas. You can stop at a red light. There's all kinds of crap that can happen. Or with all this crazy, what is it called? When people are road raging, doing all this crazy stuff, you just don't ever know. So I just feel that's kind of the sweet spot right there for me. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, any other?
And that's also why I like my CZ P01, right? The double action, right?
Yeah.
Or your staccato, you have control over the hammer.
Yeah.
And you're reholstering.
And I know a lot of people are really concerned about that. I've never had anything happen. Anything can happen, especially. But it's. And I've had that comment. You're going to blow your drunk off. I've had that comment 1,000 times. Anybody probably has that carries appendix, but I always just tell people, do what you feel comfortable with. I'm not telling you what to do. Don't do what I do if you don't want to. Do your own thing. Just like I tell people what, I'll never tell anybody what gun to carry. That's all, personal preference. So, but anything y'all have coming up on your channel that you want to, shout out or, surprise us all with, or kind of give us some hints?
Tomorrow night I'll be doing my live stream from 8 to 10 Eastern. We're gonna be doing the SHOT Show pregame show, but got Anderson Manufacturing's coming on.
Oh, cool.
Got one of the guys from Gun Owners of America is coming on, and we got guy from, I believe it's TCRT Targets is coming on. So we're going to kind of have a discussion of content creators, viewpoint of SHOT Show, and then the industry side of it. So it should be a pretty good show.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. So
what about you, TB?
Yeah, I right before and during the Christmas break, I loaded up almost for the whole month. So I've got some fun ones. I don't know why, but one of my best videos is on my Taurus 692. It's got an interchangeable cylinder between 9mm and 38 Special 357 mag. And I'm going to be doing more than that. You can actually fire more than just the 38 Special 357 mag and 9mm. So that's a fun one. I've got a sort of James Bond theme one coming up. I've got some more 308 Aero updates from them, and then I got another episode of my Ratty Reloads series, which is make fun of Trigger Bar while he screws up his reloads kind of video series. So that's what's on tap.
Yeah, I'd never want to start that because you'd have to see a bunch of blown up guns with me. That would not be fun. But yeah, I've got some stuff coming up. I've got some more products. I've bought quite a bit here in Oklahoma or in Tulsa. So of one certain thing, but I bought a bunch of it. So y'all will probably laugh and go, were y'all on crack? Are you on crack for buying all that stuff? But maybe you'll see why. And also, I'm going to start doing kind of a different kind of training that I think people will appreciate more, and it's even more budget friendly. So I'm going to have a good time with it. And yes, I will be wearing the battle belt. Yes, I will be drawing from the holster. I'm going to be doing some other things this year. I need to spend more time with that. I do it at home in dry fire, but I'm like, and I do it at the range. That I don't film all the stuff that I do at the range, but I'm just going to start keeping the camera on. And if y'all want to watch it, you can watch it. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. And I do have the secret squirrel crap coming up. So I think that'll be a fun one. Maybe have people think about, maybe some different ways or different items to carry, especially if you're traveling on the road like I am. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been a lot of fun, and definitely want y'all on again. So, and I appreciate the family members out there for coming on and saying hello. And, and like I said, we didn't get to a lot of questions because I was trying to get a bunch of information out there and get their opinions on things that I've had a lot of questions on. Yeah, guys, thank y'all so much for coming on. I really appreciate it this evening.
Yeah, thank you. Always have a great time on the show. You got a great side chat too, man.
Oh yeah,
good,
yeah,
awesome subs out there.
Yeah,
So,
like I say, we've got, we share a lot of the same one of the family members, so it's always a good thing. But I appreciate y'all as always. I'm going to go ahead and let the chat go. Y'all hang on just 1 second.
Thanks,
And,
Big J.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks everyone. We'll get to your
Thanks, everyone.
questions next time. I appreciate y'all.